Hey, you guys, welcome back to Corona Kitchen, or whatever the heck we're going to be calling this thing. I am DJ Downtown, aka Zarmisha of Endgame Podcasts, coming to you from the beautiful Green Mountains of southern Vermont. That's right, southern Vermont. I'm talking to you, Chris Kimball, Mr. Cook's Magazine, America's Test Kitchen. You watch your bow tie backside. There's a new chef in town. Anyway, namaste, because tonight we're going to be doing some Indian food. It's going to be great. I'm really excited. It's my favorite kind of food. I love to eat it and to cook it. It can be a little daunting because there's a whole lot of things going on in spices, but this is a really super easy dish that we're going to prepare with not too many ingredients as those things go. And it's very easy. It's so easy, in fact, it's kind of a snack thing, and there's a lot of things that you can do with it. So we're gonna kind of create a couple of other dishes to go with it and make a whole meal out of it. Well, the main course is it's called chicken or paneer, as I'm going to be making here for you guys. Paneer 65, and it comes from, well, there's a lot of stories about what the origin is and about what the 65 stands for. But the best one, or the one that's in the cookbook that we're using today, and I'll show you that in a second, is that it was invented in 1965 at a hotel in Chennai in Tamil Nadu on the East Coast and down south, where it's very, very, very hot. And it's sort of like Indian chicken McNuggets or paneer McNuggets. It comes from the Rasika cookbook. The Rasika cookbook. Rasika is a restaurant in Washington, D.C., a phenomenal Indian restaurant, kind of modern Indian cuisine. Really, really good, best in town, one world renowned. Because when I was in Delhi last time, talking to a chef at the restaurant at the hotel we were at, and he knew Rasika, he knew the recipes and things like that. So the Rasika cookbook, it's probably on Amazon. Grab that if you want. But this is going to be paneer / chicken 65, and then we're going to make some curried mayo. We're going to make a little bit of Raita, the cooling agent, because there is some heat in this, and we'll put some heat in the mayo as well. And we're going to make sandwiches on naan bread, and then for a side, we're going to make quick pan-seared Shishito peppers, because I had some sitting around. I didn't know what the hell. Anyway, that's the game plan. Let me show you what I got lined up for this. All right, so this is the mise for the, we're going to be doing paneer. And I've done chicken before, or we'll do chicken again. It's the same thing. So what we have here is a pound of like 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, maybe a little smaller, maybe a little bigger, cubed paneer, which is, of course, the Indian farmer's cheese. Paneer, this is my big ass block of paneer. Some of these things you're going to need in the Indian market or to get on Amazon if you don't have them already. I should warn you ahead of time. So we've got the paneer. We've got some garlic ginger paste. Okay, garlic ginger paste. Now, again, if you got an Indian market nearby, you can get garlic ginger paste combined. But at my local Hannaford's, they have this squeezed super minced garlic, and they also have a ginger version of this. I've used those two combined, and it's perfectly good ginger garlic paste. And ginger garlic paste is called for a lot in Indian cooking. You got a teaspoon of salt, 4 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. I will give you the ingredients list at the end, of course, like I did last time. We got 3 tablespoons of Kashmiri, Kashmiri pepper crushed up. Now, the recipe really calls for fresh Kashmiri chilies made into a paste, but those are going to be really hard to find. So this is dry Kashmiri chili that we're going to turn into a paste. That's what dingy merch is what it's often called. This is, again, is from the local. And when I say local, it's like over an hour away from us up here. Indian market. You can get it on Amazon as well. It's more for the color than for the heat. It's different than, you can't really see it, different than the actual chili powder. This will bring the heat. There's a little heat behind the Kashmiri chili, but a lot of the heat in this dish comes from the following, which is a teaspoon each a coriander seed and a black pepper seed that we're going to roast up, release, and then we're going to grind up in the grinder. We've also got, the recipe calls for 12 fresh curry leaves, and those are, of course, hard to get unless you're growing your own, which I may start to do. So this is about 24 dry curry leaves, kind of crushed up, because that's the only way you can do it. You'll see what happens with them. It's going to be fine. And this is 6 tablespoons of rice flour. Rice flour. Sounds exotic, easy to get. It's there. It was in Hannaford's. It's there by all the fancy flours, like the almond flour and the garbanzo bean flour, which is also a big component of Indian cooking. So if you're into it, grab some garbanzo bean flour as well. All right. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to take our roasting pan. Let me give you a better shot of it. We're going to be right on top of it. We're going to fire it up. Let it get a little hot. Then we're going to drop the coriander and black pepper seeds in there. Get too hot. We're just going to roll those around a little bit. Get them warm, get them hot. This is a real secret to getting authentic flavor in Indian cooking. You can use dried spices if you want, but if you have things like seeds and stuff, roast them and then grind them yourself each time. It makes all the difference in the world. I would argue for that all the time. When I learned that secret and really decided to go for it and started doing it all the time, it changed the quality of the stuff that I was cooking. And it's fun because it's something to do because we're all in quarantine. So the magic of time-lapse photography will probably... Okay, we're back, and they're just starting to get aromatic, and I'm starting to be able to smell them, and that's just the point you want them at, so that's great. We're going to bring this over here so as not to... All right. And grab... It's a little hot from the flame, so drop those in there, and then it's just, honest to goodness, grind away. Old school. You can, of course, use a spice grinder if you'd like. I find them tough to clean, and I don't want residue of the last spice in there when I'm grinding a different spice for a different flavor. So, all right, so I finished grinding. I got top coriander and black pepper, roasted, ground, and ground. And I'm setting that aside. Because next we're going to make the Kashmiri chili paste. 3 tablespoons of that Kashmiri chili powder, dingy mirch. And then it's simply a matter of adding some water and working it. And you want to get a paste. You don't want too thick of a paste because you want to be able to coat with it, but you don't want it to be too liquidy either because it does need to have some clean consistency. Now the other thing is the paneer, the cheese we're using is really a lot more dense than chicken. So you need to let it marinate a little bit longer if you're making the paneer. It's usually about 2 hours for chicken. We're going to let this marinate maybe 3 or 4. And I'm going to make it about the same consistency. So that's pretty good. You're going to get a sense of that kind of consistency. It flops over. It's not completely super thick, like a super thick tomato paste out of the can. It'll definitely. And now the secret that I like to do. Indian cooking is a lot of marinating for a couple of hours, whatever it is the ultimate thing is, whether it's paneer, whether it's going to be some sort of meat or whatever. I use these big Ziploc bags, into which we can place the paneer or the chicken or whatever. I would recommend only using paneer of the cheese because it is so dense it stands up to the deep frying. So it takes that well. And then you're going to add, I'm just going to dribble this into the bag. Doesn't matter even if all of it hits the cheese at first. We'll get it. Do make sure to get all of the good, yummy marinade. All right. And then we're going to add pretty much everything else except the rice flour. So in goes the garlic ginger paste. Those are 2 teaspoons. In goes the 4 teaspoons of lemon juice. In goes the teaspoon of salt, the fresh roasted and ground coriander and black pepper, and curry leaves. First round, zip it up. Make sure there's a lot of air in it when you zip it. And just start mixing that sucker up. This is the better way to do it. Get everything coated over everything. And it will coat. If you don't think it's coating, drop a little bit more water in. And then, once you got that down like that, break it open just a little bit. Push out all the air. Better with chicken, which is a little soft and squishy. So make sure you get all the air that you can out of there. And zip it back up. And then, into the fridge it goes. 3 hours for the paneer, 2 hours for the chicken minimum. You can certainly do it longer. You can even do it overnight. We'll be back. Okay. So while the paneer and the chicken are resting in the airtight Ziploc bags in the fridge, we're going to start making some of the side dishes, and then we'll get into making the shishito peppers and the masala chips. Didn't mention masala chips at the opening, I don't think. Anyway, so this is going to be our curry mayonnaise that we're going to put on our sandwiches. Starting with 3/4 of a cup of regular mayonnaise, not Miracle Whip, mayonnaise, okay? And this is also, this recipe, oops, my mouse is upside down. I wonder if it's not going in the right direction that I wanted to. This is also a good recipe to illustrate how in Indian cooking, sometimes you use just the smallest quantity of spices possible. So we've got our mayo here. We've got a tablespoon of vinegar, just white wine vinegar. Everything goes into the mayo. This isn't easy. Just mix it all and stir. I'm just running you through the ingredients. Boom. Then we've got turmeric. This is really for color. It's also got healing properties. You can get turmeric capsules and stuff. This is some that we brought back from India, and it's yummy and it smells delicious. And it's going to give it a nice coloring. Turmeric a little goes a long way, so we're using 1/4 of a teaspoon. Now, you can always add more. You don't want to overdo it. You can kind of see a little goes a long way. All right, so you know what I'm going to do now? Just to see how that's looking. I'm going to start mixing that up. So I don't know, I could probably get it a little yellower. We'll come back to it. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of ground mustard. You know, I'm not worrying about it today. It's just for the mayo. Regulation McCormick. Off the shelf. Off the shelf. Drop that in there. Keep the fuego rolling as we stir it up. For about 1/4, I like more pepper in it. 1/4 teaspoons worth or more black pepper. Wow. 1/4 teaspoon. Getting that stirred around. We'll leave that be. And now comes the actual, we're going to come back to that, the actual curry in the curry sauce. Now, folks, curry like masala, like garam masala, anything masala like that. There exists a bazillion different recipes, as many recipes as there are probably households in India, especially masalas, garam masalas. Everyone's got their own, and one time perhaps we'll just do a video on making a garam masala. For example, when I just reached into my cupboard randomly, I pulled out, I knew that, pulled out 1, 2, 3, 4 different kinds of curry. They're all going to taste a little bit different, some more so than others. For this, I do love it so, we're going to use 2 different kinds of curries. You can just drop in, you can go to the store, grab any curry. You really want the curry flavor. But because I got it and I got the time, I'm going to mix a combination of these. I always screw that up. Sorry, guys. I'll get it. These 2 curry powders, the mild and the hot versions. Okay? And it's going to be about a half, where's my half teaspoon go? Half a teaspoon each. Drop a half teaspoon of the hot one in. And half a teaspoon of the mild. And then we're going to mix the mix in. And that's pretty much it, except I want a touch more yellow and a bit more turmeric, so I'm going to put in another like 1/8 of a teaspoon, like half of a 1/4 teaspoon's worth, because a little does go a long way, and I don't want it to look like mustard. It wouldn't look like mustard, but we have this beautiful golden color. You can see that. All right, so we're good there. My instinct is to add more hot curry, but I shan't. But you can if you want to. Lord knows. What if this weren't a PG-rated cooking show? All right, so that's really it. I'm going to stick this in a little plastic container and pop it in the fridge. But that's it for the. We've still got the paneer and the chicken marinating in chili 65 sauce. We just made the mayonnaise for the sandwich, and that's chilling in the fridge too. Now it's time to make the raita. Raita is another one of those things that there's a million different recipes for. You can have an onion raita, you can have a all cumin raita, you can have a spicy hot raita. What we're going to make now, because we've got some spicy stuff in the meal tonight, nothing too hot on its own, but it's going to add up and stack upon itself. So we're going to make a very cooling raita. Generally start with curds, or in this respect, whoops, I'm spilling. I'll go to this camera. Ha ha ha, that's what it's there for. We go there. Now you see, this is plain yogurt, okay? Not Greek. As you can tell, it's sloppy. So that's going to be our base. Into that, we've got a cup of chopped cucumber. And this, again, it's like the mayonnaise. It's just toss it in kind of recipe. Nothing fancy. We've got here a half a teaspoon each of ground, what is it? This is coriander and cumin, roasted up like I did before, ground like I did before. Didn't need to show you guys again. Toss that in there. 4 tablespoons chopped fresh cilantro. Oops. Just for a little kick. You got about a tablespoon and a half of diced red onion. And the container. Toss that in. And then just fold it over, incorporate it all. And this is one more thing that we're going to stick in a container and send to the fridge So this is why this is a great meal. You can do all this prep ahead of time. This is a chunky Raita. You can do a lot of the prep ahead of time. If I were to make a food truck, this chicken 65 sandwich thing we're making tonight, and some of these condiments would definitely be on the menu. All right, so that's it's right and simple. Bim, bam, boom. We're good to go. Next up, okay, so we've got the paneer 65 and the chicken 65 chilling in the fridge. We've got the curry mayo chilling in the fridge, and we've got the raita now chilling in the fridge. It's time to make the masala chips. All right, and to do that with these potatoes, you could use a food processor with a spinny thing, but I like to use a mandolin. Not that kind of mandolin. This kind of mandolin. We're going to get the mandolin. I set it to 1/8 of an inch. I'll put it on the top camera. And then I got back here the bowl of cold water. As the chips come out, we want to put them pretty much immediately into the cold water. Let them sit there for a second. Do a couple of rinses to get the starch out. And then fill the bowl again. Put 3 tablespoons of salt in. And let them sit for about 30 minutes. And then we're going to pat them dry, drain them, pat them dry, and then get ready for the fryer. And then everything comes together in the fryer because we fry the 65 stuff as well. And we'll make our sandwiches and we'll pan fry the Shishitos. So, where did that go? Let me bounce this over here. So here we go. There's Amanda, just real quick. It's so much fun. It's worth seeing for a second. It's just like that. Boom. Now you do got to be careful with your fingers. And don't take it too low. And there you go. Beautiful. And into the cold water, they go. Be sure to separate them, don't let them stick together. Into the cold water, they all go. And I'm just going to do this for the next 4 or 3 or 4 potatoes. I've taken the potatoes, I've rinsed them 2 or 3 times to get all the starch out, and then I filled it with water, as you can see, with 3 tablespoons of salt, and they're just going to rest there for 30 minutes or so, and then we'll get going to the fry later. Meanwhile, we're going to make the garam masala salt. As you can see, there's a bunch of different garam masalas, just as I was saying with everything else, and it is very much sort of a family recipe kind of thing. So I'm going to kind of do a 1 to 4. We're going to make 1 tablespoon of salt, roughly, to 4 of the garam masala. And it's really a matter of taste. Just don't want to put too much salt in because then you're trying to desalt it and you're chasing it and wasting stuff. So there's 1 to 4. That one. And then just stir it up. Just want a little bit more salt for the potato chips than garam masala usually has. So you want to just make sure that gets all integrated. Taste. There might be a touch too much salt there. So I'm going to add just a little bit more garam masala. No, there's too much salt. So maybe 1 to 5. Even though we're not going to use all that, now I'm wasting it. That's just what I meant, not putting too much salt in. So we're going to I'll whisk this up. And everything needs to sit for a little bit longer. But we're going to pick it up at the deep fryer. Okay, here we are. I've got a deep fat fryer here, up to 365 degrees for the potato chips that have been sitting in the salt water after being rinsed and drained and rinsed and drained. They were rinsed and drained and rinsed and drained again after the salt water left to dry out a little bit. They're still a little tad wet. And we're just going to fry these up, put them on the towels to soak up a little bit, put them in the big bowl, and hit them with a little bit of the garam masala salt at each layer. We're not going to do it all at once at the end because then it all sticks to the top. And so I'll just do one batch real quick. It's going to take a while to do them all. So I leave the basket up. You put it down. I put the basket down when we do the actual chicken and paneer 65 stuff, because that's got a coating on it, as you'll see, and that's going to stick to the basket. These things probably will not. So always fry in smallish batches. Yum, listen to that sound. And do allow the oil to come back up to temperature between batches. Now you can do this just like you can do the chicken 65 in a kind of high-sided pan or in a wok. A wok is great to do it in. So these are just going to bounce for a little bit. I'm going to do the whole batch, and then we're going to get to doing the actual chicken and paneer 65. Here is the marinated paneer dumped out of the plastic bag and into a bowl. Here, if you remember at the very beginning, there were those 6 tablespoons of rice flour. We're going to kind of mix this all together a little bit at a time to build sort of like a coating around each piece of paneer. And the rice flour is very, very fine and kind of light. And then we're going to take that in the deep fryer. We don't just drop the cashmere chili pasted kind of paneer in. So let me get you overhead, and we will see what's going on. Yep, there it is. Here we go. Just going to add a little bit of this. And start kind of mixing it up. Now, for the potato chips, recall that the oil temperature was 365 degrees. I've dialed that back to 350 for the paneer and chicken. Just add a little bit more. I may not go through that whole thing. All right, here we go. So let's set that aside. Bring this over here. Production line. So I've just got trays lined with paper towels to soak up the oil. You can't really see the deep fryer over here. So coming back here, deep fryer. Now, I have the basket up when I put the fries in. I do this with the basket down, already in the oil. You want to take a piece, give it like a little bit of a spin, okay? The idea is you want the coating to cook before it hits the basket. Otherwise, the coating, unlike a potato chip, the coating will kind of stick to the basket and it won't cook all the way through. It'll make taking them out real difficult. And then I'm going to jiggle. Once I get a few of them in there, I'm going to do this, and that's going to bounce them up off the basket, and that keeps them off the basket as well. So as I said, take them, give them the twist, just start dropping them in. Give them a little bounce. All bouncing well. Take a couple more in. 2 to 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. So I'll be back after I've done this whole batch. In the meantime, I'm going to show you how to do the shishito peppers just to save a little time. Okay, now we're going to do the shishitos real quick. Super easy. It's just to put some green on the plate and have a little something extra. Because again, I got nowhere to go. So I'm going to make some shishitos. Fire up the pan. Medium-low heat. You don't want it too hot. You don't want to get the oil smoking. You want to get it just before smoking. A little heat on the pan. And then, this is where it gets imprecise. Like maybe a tablespoon or two worth of oil into the pan. Yeah, Jim. Another. And heat this up again, hot, but not, not getting to the smoking point. Then I don't know about where you guys are. We get these awesome pre-bagged shishitos. We give them a rinse and then just toss them in. Now the test pepper is starting to pop. I'm going to toss the better part of the bag in there. Stir them around, get them nice and coated. Bring the heat down again because you don't want to overdo it. And then it's going to be a good 8 to 10 minutes turning them regularly. You don't want them black everywhere. You want some good searing, you know, on 3 or 4 parts down the side, but not, you know, the whole thing to turn black. And when these are done, we'll come back. All you do is hit them with a little sea salt, and they're good to go. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to put together our sandwiches, and we will be ready to eat. So here we are coming up on the end. You can see, getting a nice char on some of them. On some of the sides, there's still plenty of green. These guys are just about done. So I'm going to dunk them on a paper towel to drain, hit them with the sea salt, put them into something, and then we're going to come back and we're just going to put together the sandwich, make a little plate, and we will be good to go. And so here we are, ready to plate it all at last. I cheated and used some frozen naan. There's all sorts of varieties. You can get some at Indian markets, you can get some at regular markets. When the weather's nicer, I'll fire up the tandoor oven and we'll make some naan from scratch. But for right now, grab a naan. You can do either side. We're just going to kind of roll it and make a rolly sandwich thing. So we're going to take a healthy slather of the curry mayo. And then these are the components of sort of the classic Indian chili plate. You've got red onion and tomato and lemon, and that goes really well with all of this stuff. So I'm going to put a little lettuce on. And then here we have the paneer and the chicken. Now the paneer, full disclosure, I'd never made the paneer before. And the dish is really a chicken dish. As you can see, some of the crust stayed on, so that's all good. And the chicken came out really, really nice. I'm going to put crusty parts of the paneer on. Make myself a little sandwich. Add some red onion. Red onion, good. Some tomato pieces. Give the whole thing a squeeze of lemon if you want. And there you go. It's more of a flatbread than a sandwich. You need bigger naans. But you can attack it any way you want, like that. On top of all that, we've got the Raita. We've got some chips, Masala chips. And we've got some Shishito peppers, still hot off the press. So the sandwich didn't work out that well, guys. But there you go. That's an open-faced Paneer 65 open-faced sandwich. Where are we? There we are. With masala chips, pan-seared shishito, that's tough to say, and some raita. I hope you guys enjoy it. Give it a shot. The chicken's delicious too. Let me know how it went for you guys, okay? And while I've got you here, as the captive audience, let me just remind you, cooking when people are in line for, you know, for food at food banks and things like that is, of course, terribly ironic, and I recognize that. So what I would like everybody to do is, if you're having fun with this, I'm going to be making some more. If you have any requests, let me know. But please, if you can afford to make nice food like this at home while you're stuck at home, make a donation to feedamerica.org. Okay, it's the best way to help those people who are in need right now. Better than driving food yourself to the food bank. Better than, you know, giving them money directly. Give it to feedamerica.org. They can do things in bulk, and they're really doing amazing work right now. Also, you can go to mealtrain.com. This is a cool thing. Mealtrain.com is a place where you can send a meal to a group of workers at a local hospital or frontline healthcare workers. So you can send lunch, you know, to the X-ray department or this or that, something like that. And the lunch gets sent from a local restaurant. So you're making the day of the healthcare workers, and you're supporting a local restaurant, which is really important in these times as well. So please consider doing all of those things. Definitely join me next time. There will be a next time. This is a whole lot of fun. A whole lot of work, but it's a whole lot of fun. Meanwhile, you can go to endgamepodcast.com and check out all the stuff that we've got going on there. More and more video podcasts. We've got some specialty podcasts coming up. We've got our political podcasts and, of course, the TV shows that we love to talk about as well. So join us there. I am going to dig in. Still crunchy. Oh, those are really good. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Let me know if there's anything you want me to try and cook. I'm going to do an adventure one of these days. Want me to cook something I've never cooked before and see if it comes out. You can see me swear a lot. So until next time, namaste. Enjoy the Indian food. And here comes the ingredient list.